It gives me great pleasure to introduce the moderator of this program. Dorab Mistry served as president of the Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe from 1997 to 2005. During his tenure, the ZTFE acquired and moved into the beautiful Art Deco Zoroastrian Center in the London suburb of Harrow. The center incorporates the Zerthussi Brothers Hall, which can seat 700. Dorab was chair of the 8th World Zoroastrian Congress, held in London in 2005. That makes us brothers. Dorab has served as vice chair of the Interfaith Network UK. In June 2013, in Her Majesty's Diamond Jubilee Honours List, he was conferred an OBE, Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, for services to faith and interfaith work in the UK. Dorab has worked all of his life at Godrej Company in India, but always based in London and in recent years in Singapore. He frequently appears on business channels in India and Asia. Dorab and Shanaz married in 1985 and have 3 daughters, and were recently blessed with twin granddaughters. Thank you. Dorab.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've waited so long for this session, which I believe is a very important session because it brings together all the regional federations of the world. And we have made numerous attempts to come together, to work together, but there's always been some little difference, some little problem. But the man trying to string it all together, Rohinton Rivetna, I call him Mr. Perseverance. There is no challenge that is beyond him and no task that is too difficult. And it is by sheer willpower, sheer determination, and a lot of patience that he has been able to bring diverse groups from all over the world together. We don't have our honorary chairman, Neville Shroff of Hong Kong, here today, but we will have a message from him. But before we go any further, let me pay tribute to Rohinton Rivetna, the founder of Fezana, and now going to be the founder of what is called the GWG, the Global Working Group. This is now going to form a trust, because where is the need greatest? Thus, the need for poverty alleviation, for medical benefit, for educational scholarships is most evident in our old motherland countries of India, Iran, Pakistan. And in India, we have a most wonderful setup run by a man called Dinsha Tamboli, who runs the World Zoroastrian Trust Funds. And we are so glad to have him on board with us. So it's a very powerful combination. Funding from Hong Kong, much in the lead. Then Fezana. Fezana has been magnificent in funding in recent years. And my own Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe. And we are now trying to motivate the other prosperous parts of the diaspora, the Middle East, Australia, to also come in. And with this funding and the distribution that we have handled by Dinsha and Bachi Tamboli and their team, India has been doing amazing work. And we want to formalize it, give it a big push, and then extend it, if possible, to Iran, which is what Alayar will be talking about. So without much ado, may I invite Rohinton to first give us a brief history through his slides. It's a double act, Rohinton and Roshan. So invite Rohinton with Roshan's backing to take us through the history of the GWG. Over to you, Rohinton.
Thanks, Dorab, for a generous introduction. In the interest of time, I have my coach and partner process the slides for me. So here we begin. The story of the Global Working Group is long, full of highs and lows, lessons learned, and barriers broken. Today, I shall give you a glimpse of the 30-year history that has brought us together today. Our journey begins in our homeland, Iran. Around the 10th century, the first diaspora came to India and has prospered for 1,000 years. Even then, the need for dialogue was recognized as recorded in the riwayats. In the past century, the second diaspora has spread around the world to become our worldwide community without borders. That is important, worldwide community without borders. At this juncture in our history, it is imperative for us to develop a structure to bring the regions together to connect and collaborate. 3 decades ago, in the 1990s, in an orgy of inspiration, we ventured out to form a World Council of Zoroastrian Federations. The preamble shown here gives a flavor and intent. Just as individuals come together as local associations, and associations come together as federations, example Fizana, so it made logical sense for federations to come together as a global body. Over the next decade, we worked diligently on the council with leadership in Iran, India, UK, and America. Every time a proposal was stalled, we picked up the pieces and started again. But alas, it did not gel. We finally struck the right chord at the London Congress in 2005 through the good offices of the ZTFE president, Dorab Mistry, and his team. A coming together session was held where regions and organizations came together to develop an agenda for cooperative community projects. Thus was born the Coming Together Roundtable. Meetings were held in Mumbai, Houston, and Dubai. While productive, these CTR forums were chaotic gatherings coordinated by individuals, albeit very dedicated. Another watershed moment was at the 2009 Dubai Congress, when consensual agreement was reached to transition the roundtable to a more structured forum with ownership by the regions. The term Global Working Group emanated from the Vision 2010 and Beyond program developed by the Congress team with Sam Balsara. This was a legacy of the Dubai Congress and a credit to the foresight and vision of Chair Meir Besania. GWG has now operated successfully for a decade. We need to thank ESD Tantra for his invaluable IT support. It was Neville Shroff persuaded the regions to formalize the GWG. As Providence would have it, there was Burjur Antia Sahib ready to take on the challenge. The GWG is now soon to be formally registered in Mumbai as the World Council of Zoroastrians Trust. It is gratifying that after this torturous journey, the structure, vision, and mission that the founders had in mind are preserved. The structure is unique. There are those that make the decisions, the regions, and then there are those that execute the decisions, the working groups, working committees. In closing, I would like you to retain this evening as a special moment in your lives, as it is in mine. reflect on from where we have come to where we are today and where we are heading. How so many individuals have stepped forward to keep the process moving. And reflect on how each one of us can do our part. Each one of us must do our part. May Hauramazda bless our community. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, the couple who worked the hardest to outwit all the difficulties that came were in fact Rohinton and Roshan. And we are so glad that they are now going to see the fruit of this huge endeavor that they put in. Without much ado, I'm going to invite Arzan Wadia, who has been absolute dynamism personified. We've had wonderful relationship with all the Fezana presidents in recent years, starting from Bommi Patel, Ketayun, Homi, and now Arzan. And I will hand you over to Arzan. And after Arzan, our elder statesman and our eyes and ears on Iran, Alayar Dabeshtani, will speak on what he expects this body to do in the context of Iran and the invaluable contribution of the Iranian Zartushtis towards our development.
Good evening, everybody. So the Global Working Group is an interesting body, right? It has come about in a long way and has taken years to come. And now finally we have a coordinating body. And how does that help? One would think, right? I mean, Fezana does its own stuff, ZTFA does its own stuff, India does its own stuff. But why do we need one? And one of the best reasons that we need one is the sharing of information and the collaboration that happens between regions, which otherwise would just not happen unless, say, Fezana opened up an office in India for Fezana's interest in India, or Fezana opened up an office in London or in the UK for Fezana's interest in the UK. But of course, we don't have that kind of funds. We don't have that kind of effort. So we rely on each other's organizations to kind of help us. One of the organizations that Fezana, Hong Kong, ZTFE, everybody relies on when it comes to processing and helping with aid, critical assistance, welfare in India is the World Zoroastrian Organization Trust Funds, which is set up by, which is spearheaded and actually founded by Dinsha Tamboli. That organization has been at the grassroots in India for the last 35 years and more. And they've done some amazing work. They basically go into the villages of Gujarat, mostly Gujarat, Western India, and have through proved means made improvements in the lives of a lot of poor Zartustis. They do that through providing, in a very accountable manner, aid to people who need aid to start businesses, to build homes, to pay for illnesses. In the first two cases, especially when it comes to business, it's interest-free loans, and they actually monitor those, right? The money for all of that comes from donors all over the world, including India, okay? The biggest problem that used to happen before was donors all over the world would want to send the money, but they did not know where to send the money to. And even if they knew who to send the money to, they did not know what was happening with the money after it was sent. Dinshaji, through his trust and through the collaboration and the relationships that he has built over the years with a lot of these people, with a lot of the organizations, has provided a foolproof, accountable track record of how money is disseminated to the right people. Through the pandemic, like you guys saw the pandemic video, and there was a clip about the money that was donated from all of these regions. There was complete accountability for it. So today, when an appeal comes from India for medical assistance, for critical aid, for anything, Fezana doesn't bat an eyelid before sending it out, because we know that when we get an appeal from WZO trust funds, it comes totally verified, And our members in North America, and I can only talk for North America, our members in North America contribute to it because they know that Fizana, they trust Fizana, and Fizana can be trusted because WZOTF can be trusted. All of this happens because it's part of the GWG. Before that, we were all fractured. Our people were doing things without consulting one another. And now it really, it really kind of ties things together. On a totally different note, the GWG's power of personal relationships and of understanding and collaboration was an eye-opener for me when Fizana was raising money for the University of Toronto professorship. Right. The project was started under Homi Gandhi's term when Homi was the president before me. And it was through relationships with Hong Kong and with ZTFE that we reached out to them and they said, okay, sure, we'll think about it. But when we were really close, but we could have lost it all, right? We really leveraged our relationships through the GWG with these organizations, and they took us over the finish line, right? I don't think that would have happened if there was no GWG because, I mean, sure, we know people in London, but so what, right? Or we know people in Hong Kong, but so what? It's the fact that we all meet once a year around a table, discuss things, understand what our problems are in each region, and try to help each region solve those problems with the strength of other regions. That's really the power of the GWG. So as much as people think, who is the GWG? What consequence does it have to me or you individually? It does, because every time you want to donate money to somebody who needs aid in India, it gets routed through a system that is now established. However, what can the GWG do better in this is that they need to find the same kind of point person or an agency in Iran, because today it is very difficult to send aid to Iran. During the start of the pandemic, when there was an appeal from Yazd, we had to find ways to channel money to India, and then the aid went from India to Iran because diplomatic and political relations between the United States and Iran do not allow for any transfer of money. It always still is a problem that we do not have the accountability and the agency within Iran that can help us verify the calls that come in for medical assistance, for critical aid. So I think, through the offices of Aliar, though Aliar lives in North America, I mean, he's got amazing contacts. And if there are other Iranian folks who are here who have contacts, we need to build that level so we can, the same way we do help and aid to India through the WZOTF, we need to develop that for Iran too. With that, I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arzan. And now, Aliar, would you like to please step forward? And incidentally, the new Zoroastrian Center in London was funded mainly by Iranian philanthropists, the Zartushti family, who I call the greatest living philanthropists of their times when they were alive. And it was their generosity across the Atlantic which enabled us to have a new center. So these cross relationships are very important. Welcome, Aliar.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be here and represent Iran. I wish that there are more Iranians here, since they wanted to come, many of them, and unfortunately they could not get the visa. They applied to different places and they were rejected. I'm sorry to see that, but again, I'm going to do my best to represent Iran. First of all, let me thanks and appreciate and say that people of Iran, especially 150 years ago or before, or and up to now, they benefited a lot from veneration of the Parsis and the hope that you've given us. I want to really say thank you very much, and you saved us in many different ways. For example, with the help of Manokjuling Dihatria and his friends, and he abolished that jizya we had. And what is jizya really? It's the surtax that they were charging non-Muslims, especially the interested in Iran, and they had to pay 10 times more than the Muslims that they were paying. And the problem was not only that 10 times more, because they were collecting, they were doing any means that they could do, kill them or hurt them or whatever that they can. And we owe it to you, you Parsis. I like to really appreciate that and thank you for all of that. Thank you very much. Other than Manokjulim Jihatria, we had like Pashutanji Markar and many other people that, for example, he did high school, elementary school, kindergarten, and many other things. And I don't want to name every one of them, but you know. And also, the school that you guys built, there were about 26 schools in the villages of Iran, and one of them was in Sharifabad, because we could not go to the Muslim schools. They say that we are kind of dirty. They were not allowed. And you came and built a school for us and hired the teacher. And I happen to be one of those persons that went to that school. Otherwise, I could have done education. I could not have been here at all. Thank you very much. One thing before I start out, what demands in Iran, say that I wish more Iranians, especially outside of Iran, they were here. I don't see many of us, and that is regrettable. And we should have somehow, I don't know, better connection as far as the engagements and far as the people, especially I'm talking about Iranians out of Iran, to get more involved with the Parsis and Anjuman. We help each other, helping each other, we can make much better community. And I hope that they listen, they do that, please. In the needs in Iran, I want to make the story short because of the timing. The needs in Iran are tremendous, especially after the revolution. And there are some, getting the job is not that difficult, it is difficult, I'm sorry. And also the education became more difficult, especially they could not pay the tuition or the school that they wanted to go. And the school that the Parsis built is there right now. They need a new renovation, a new teacher, and better teacher, and some services to those educational institutions. And also, there are lots of need for sick people they cannot afford because the inflation rate is over 100% a year. And the currency is going down and down and down, and simply they cannot afford. So if you can help them any way that we can, that will be appreciated. And also the pilgrimages that we have in Iran, namely a few like Pir Sab, Pir Harish, Pir Pars Banu, Pir Naraki, and others, they need repair and improvements. And I hope that we at whole, we can help them. My suggestion is, to make the story short, is unfortunately, we don't have a person like Dinsha Tamboli, or at least I don't know. But not having somebody like him, I propose that in about 6 different cities that mostly Zoroastrian lives, like Yazd, Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz, Kerman, Ahvaz. We should have one representative, and with the help of Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust, we can have some budgeting there and do all of these needful things that have to be done. And I personally, I will do my best to be one of the best contributor, and hopefully all of us, we can do together. And again, thank you very much, my Parsi friends and brothers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliar. I first met Aliar in 1997 at the Second World Zoroastrian Youth Congress in London. And he has been a bridge builder ever since between the Iranian-speaking Zoroastrians and the Gujarati-speaking Zoroastrians. Now we come to what I would call the highlight of this forum, which is our 2 young co-chairs. These are the duly elected popular leaders of Zoroastrian youth in the UK. And they are going to organize the next World Youth Congress in London next year. This also shows you that GWG is not just aging old Parsi men. It's also the youth. They are not only, as Arzan's slide said, the future is here, the future is her. Well, we are putting it into practice. May I invite Saraya Khambata and Sherry Kapadia to make their presentation. They have already participated in several GWG meetings. This is one of the bigger ones.
Hi, everyone. So thank you, Dorab, for that really nice introduction. We are Scheherazade and Sanaya. And first, we want to thank the GWG and Dorab for allowing us to join this panel today. We were invited to join a GWG meeting early in our Congress planning, and we were encouraged to create an open dialogue with the GWG as representatives of the youth. We went through Congress planning during a pandemic, and our youth Congress team and the GWG have really leveraged the power of technology to collaborate and connect. Today, we are talking about how the GWG has supported the Youth Committee, and we want to give you some details about our journey. We look forward to continuing this relationship with the GWG for beyond, not only for ourselves, but for the future generations of the Zoroastrian youth, to create a harmonious and collaborative working group. So Sanaya, do you want to tell us about it?
Sure, thank you. It's been great for the youth to be invited to discuss matters in such an open forum, and we both have been welcomed at the GWG as the first youth community representatives. The GWG has provided a forum to receive feedback from global associations to enhance our youth congress, and there were 2 prominent key outcomes that we decided on. We heard the concerns from the GWG about cost, which previously has not been inclusive for all, and used this as one of the main focus points for our Congress. We have made our Congress affordable and inclusive for all at a cost of £550, inclusive of accommodation, entertainment, and most meals, and within reach for the global youth community. We worked from the feedback of the GWG and worked with our host association, the ZTFE, to incorporate this into our Congress. We also want to foster a global youth network to raise awareness so that our Congress represents the values of the global youth community and not just in the UK. After all, it is a youth Congress for the youth by the youth. We were quickly able to understand what would and would not work from experienced Zoroastrian leaders at the GWG, and tailored our Congress to this in the early stages of planning, as to not waste time and efforts and have to revise key features later down the line. The GWG have done a great job at supporting the youth, and we do hope this continues. Something both Scheherazade and I feel very strongly about in the community is women's empowerment. I'll hand over to Shehrazad to tell you a bit more about how we feel and some of the key points on this.
Absolutely. So having female role models in senior leadership positions is extremely important, as before we have really lacked this representation. I'm really proud to say that women are widely represented in all of our Congress central team and subcommittees, as well as on our YZ committee. And this provides us with a space that allows us to properly and openly discuss issues within our community that affect women in particular. These issues range from things like the role of female mobidiars, or how associations support people suffering from domestic violence, which really increased for women during the pandemic. And finally, how we are going to drive and cultivate young women leaders to take up senior leadership positions. We really hope that the GWG and the wider Zoroastrian community will continue to uplift and foster the belonging of women's voices in our community. And I think it's really, really important to mention that it's not only this Youth Congress that has, 2 women co-chairs. It's also, this has been happening for a long time. The 6th World Zoroastrian Youth Congress, held in 2015 in New Zealand, had a woman chair and a woman vice chair. And I think it's really important to say, we're not asking for a space. The women in our community are doing the work, and we hope now to continue being respected and acknowledged. The GWG is an established yet continually evolving group and voice in our community. And Sanaya is going to talk you through some of our key takeaways that we have had from the GWG and some things to help them develop even further.
So 2 of the key takeaways that we took from our interactions with the GWG is that we want to mimic the global working group within our youth across the diaspora so that we can be more cross-collaborative with one another. The second is that we wish to continue to reflect on how we can develop young women leaders to take on senior and instrumental positions within our community. Central to all of these points is having a strong youth presence, which is acknowledged and heard at these global Zoroastrian forums, and we hope they continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry and Sanaya. I hope you heard their opening offer is going to be what, 5 nights, including most meals, for 550 pounds. Xerxes Dastur, who is an accountant and knows a bargain when he sees one, told me, can I also come to London as a guest? It is very attractive. And these young ladies have really been what I call parsimonious in their budgeting and kept the cost down to ensure that no one has a reason of cost not to come to London. Everyone should be incentivized, and we will also have a program of Zoroastrian youth across borders. So may I now request the film on testimonials for the GWG to be played, or please keep it ready. And in the meantime, I will invite Kitayun to make her presentation. Kitayun has been a rock of support to the GWG through her own time as president of Fezana. I have known her since she was a student of the J.B. Vacha school in Dadar, Parsi colony. It just so happens that most of the leaders of the Zoroastrian diaspora seem to come from the bags and the colonies of Mumbai. But be that as it may, Kitayun, would you like to speak? And in the meantime, we'll get the film organized.
So my fellow Jarthustis, the Global Council of Zoroastrian Trusts, as it's now called, or what we call the Global Working Group. So what was the first goal? Provide a platform for coordination and communication between regions. We are a global community, and so communication plays a critical role. Do I continue? Or they want to play the film? I'll finish it? Okay. The objective is to develop, strengthen, and promote the community identity so federations can work together under the Global Working Group, promote achievements of Zoroastrians, and Zoroastrian organizations across the world, promote networking of Zoroastrians across the world, feature success stories of Zoroastrians in leading newspapers, magazines, showcasing the achievements of the community, especially during Nowruz, Parsi New Year, and Iranian festivals, and promote the Zoroastrian websites. So GWG has regional representatives, as Rohinton has pointed out. Regions make the decisions, but the working committees execute these decisions. Committees are the backbone of GWG. Regions strive to make their committees part and parcel of the worldwide community. So GWG holds an annual gathering of community leaders from around the world. And what do we do there? Discuss matters pertaining to culture, religion, solidarity, welfare, and progress. Discuss achievements made by each region and committees. Discuss future goals for the betterment of the community and propose time-bound solutions and projects. Each region is given a chance at the annual general meeting to share their progress and highlight the new programs that can be undertaken by them in the coming year. GWG committees meet informally, quarterly, or periodically as necessary. All decisions of the GWG are consensual. Topics of controversial nature are discussed with a spirit of maturity, understanding, and tolerance. Various committees are there, and these committees need extensive communication between the regions to achieve their goals and objectives. I'm just going to touch lightly upon three of them: infrastructure, settlement of immigrants, and welfare. Infrastructure, the needs for the religion are discussed: safe drinking water, solar power, solutions, construction of darimehers and atashkade, rural upliftment, irrigation, finance for small businesses. And we know infrastructure is a pet project of Rohinton Ravetna. So he's quite involved in that committee. Then we have settlement of immigrants, help and support, the community strengthening, living conditions, renewable energy in India and elsewhere. And we have seen a big settlement of immigrants in the past few years. And then, of course, Arzan touched upon welfare, particularly in India, where support is there for raising of funds for a project, and collective giving from Hong Kong, WZOT, Khazana, ZTFE provide GWG a conduit to achieve their goals. So my role as communications coordinator is to ensure that we work in Hamazuri to uphold the GWG values of integrity, excellence, respect, non-interference, and total transparency. We have many good stories to tell, but we are not telling them. So hopefully this session today shows you a roadmap that GWG has laid out, and hopes that we will continue to follow that. Our members continue to bring hope, peace, and joy in the world, and accomplish a shared vision through working committees by lending a helping hand. With commitment from all the regions, I'm sure that GWG continues making a sustainable difference to the Parsi, Irani, Zoroastrian community worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Kechayun. Now we can have the film, please. Watch for our chairman, Neville Shroff, another very prominent member of our leadership team, Mayor Besania, the well-known solicitor, Barjo Natia, and of course, the redoubtable Mr. Tamboli, all giving their messages. Can we have the testimonial film?
Greetings from Hong Kong. It gives me immense pleasure as the chairman-elect of the Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust to wish that all participating regions extend their full support to this very worthy trust. in empowering our Zoroastrian community to prosper worldwide. I'd like to amplify our message that GCZT is a platform enabling and promoting global connectivity to work in a coherent manner on social welfare and economic issues. For example, in providing financial assistance to elderly morbeds, widows, and senior citizens of our community, which we have done already to the value of rupees 25 million as of now. At the other end, we have our youth, who are the backbone of our future. And with world economies facing more uncertainties, it becomes more incumbent on our global communities to work closely in supporting each other. And hence, we are working together with WZCC and WZOT to facilitate these undertakings. Furthermore, we have invaluable cultural programs to maintain our heritage for future generations, plus many other worthwhile projects. Each region is independent, and GCZT stands for simply working together in harmony to make a greater difference for our global community. Ushtate.
Our tiny Zoroastrian community around the world has achieved so much over the decades, over the centuries, and there's so many federations and organizations of Zoroastrians around the world that do wonderful work wherever they are. However, this initiative, the Global Council for Zoroastrians Trust, is going to bring together all these organizations so that we can work together, learn from each other, help each other, because together we can achieve so much more looking ahead. There is a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's go far together.
It is the cardinal principle of Zoroastrian religion to help each and every member of our community. And with this view in mind, Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust is formed to help poor and needy members of our community. And I am confident that the trust will achieve its noble purpose. And I therefore appeal to all Zoroastrians to support this noble mission.
For India, a country that is home to the largest population of Parsi Irani Zoroastrians in the world, GCZT, or Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust, a public charitable trust, symbolizes an extraordinary force that advances new frontiers of social and economic development for our community worldwide.
The Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust is a representative body where Zoroastrian federations and organizations from around the world come together and work together in Hamazuri for the progress of our community. It is an excellent initiative, so let's support it. Thank you.
GCZT supports an assortment of causes such as health, nutrition, education, entrepreneurship, youth, immigration, infrastructure, arts and culture, and much more. Let us support this organization wholeheartedly.
Art, in all its colors and types, reflects the culture of its religion, its history, and civilization. The Arts and Culture Committee has pushed boundaries and produced lovely coffee table books and films on Zarathustra and our deep-rooted Zoroastrian religion. We have bigger plans in future, and we shall be working in that direction.
Well, these were the messages of support from people who are part of the GWG but could not be here with us. Now, we have exactly 8 minutes and 2 speakers. So I leave it to them how they share their 8 minutes. First, we have Xerxes Dastur, newly re-elected trustee of the Bombay Parsi Panchayat, chartered accountant. He has a very interesting job, apart from all his professional career. When Parsis go to Bombay, they want to go for Dhansak at the Ripon Club. And you will have a special Dhansak because the chairman of the Ripon Club is Xerxes Dastur. So BPP trustee, Ribbon Club chairman, Xerxes, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. Dear all, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the organizers of this Congress for a great job done. I'm honored and humbled to be here among so many Zoroastrians and Parsis from all over the world. Before I get to the main gist of my topic, I'd like to give all the ladies and the supporters of feminism here like me that there's some great news as regards gender equality at the BPP. Currently, the BPP, we now have a lady chairperson and we have 2 more lady trustees. So 3 ladies are on the board of 7 BPP trustees. And so we're happy. I personally am happy with the reduction of the testosterone in the boardroom. It's making my life a little easier. Though we are still not at the required 50%, but at 43% of women on board, I'm hoping we have an easier time. So that's some good news for all of you here first. You know, sorry, this is the next one. Okay, great. So, you know, India has the largest percentage of Zoroastrians in the world. Nearly 50% of all Parsi Zoroastrians live in India. I'm going to sort of run this a little faster with respect to everybody's time issues just now, okay? Our forefathers fled Persia and came to India 1400 years ago. We in India have kept the Zoroastrian flame alive by preserving our unique cultural and religious identity there. Zoroastrian philanthropy in India is actually led by the Bombay Parsi Panchayat. BPP, the Bombay Parsi Panchayat, is the largest and oldest Zoroastrian trust in the world. It's nearly 341 years old, guys. So we have been doing charity now for 341 years. It's not today, it's not one generation, it's 341 years of an organized structure which has kept community assets safe all over Bombay as well as the rest of India. We have a new board at the BPP in place, and I've already given you the composition of the new board just for your information. Let's look at what the BPP does. The BPP mainly looks after Dungarwadi in Mumbai. I know Dr. Rashna Pardiwala spoke a little about Dungarwadi, but let me give you some additional facts. BPP runs Dungarwadi. Dungarwadi is a 55-acre green lung to the city of Bombay. All right. BPP has been looking after Dungarwadi and the different set of issues which we have had as regards the Khandias, the Nasildars, and everything else for the last 341 years. The raison d'etre of the BPP is looking after Dungarwadi. We have now successfully implemented a Supreme Court order for use of our traditional Dungarwadi for Zoroastrians who have passed away through COVID. And we have successfully managed to help up to last week, around 4 people who had passed away have been consigned to the Tower of Silence. This has been done with great effort, and I'd like to thank everybody who helped us do this. My colleague Viraf Mehta, who's sitting here, also did a lot of stuff for this. You know, we don't realize, and we keep talking, but the Dungarwadi being the raison d'etre, but after that, the BPP controls 22 colonies in Bombay. I met a lot of people this last 2 days who've had their roots there, and they will all tell you how they've prospered and come from these colonies. Okay, 22 colonies, 4,500 flats. We have 2 old age homes, Parak Dharamsala and the Gamadia Health Unit. We look after 2 Agyaris, which is the Joki Agyari, the Godavra Agyari. We have a boys hostel, which we manage for indigent Parsi boys who come from the outskirts. Okay, we also conduct Avasta classes, prayer classes. We sponsor assistance to differently abled and mentally challenged Parsi kids on an ongoing basis. BPP supports most Parsi cultural events in Mumbai, whether it is the May Queen in Rustambagh or a football tournament in Dadar or a volleyball tournament in CJ Colony. In COVID times, BPP has distributed and set up a community kitchen because Parsis all over Bombay, even though they had the money, had no ability to go out and feed themselves. We set up a community kitchen, we used that community kitchen, and we distributed over 6,500 meals over 2 months, guys. The logistics of all of this was handled in-house. We managed this with the support of our community. All right. Every year, the BPP supports Parsi charities, not only in Mumbai, but all over India. An integral part of the BPP is the Geo-Parsi initiative, where we are the main sponsor, which has now resulted in over 370 babies in this past 2 years, guys. 370 new babies have been produced because of the Geo-Parsi initiative. There's something else I don't know if you know, but for many years, for the kasti, the wool was difficult to be sourced. The BPP sources the wool at a market price, then it subsidizes it and gives it to the ladies who make the kastis, and then the BPP sells these kastis at cost price to ensure that this ancient art is not lost completely. Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry, I'm coming to the end of that. Okay, so the point I was trying to make is we are grateful to be part of the GWG and the new trust. I think this will give us all an opportunity to continue doing what we are doing. It's very important that we as a community discuss and have a forum where important issues can be sat across a table and looked at. There is much more in the community today. We shouldn't only be talking about our religious differences and other issues, but we should be talking about blue skying for the next 20 years, the next 15 years, the next 5 years as to where we want to see the community. I'm hoping that the GWG plays a leadership role in this, and I look forward to being part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaxis. We look forward to very constructive engagement with the Bombay Parsi Panchayat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, every message needs to be conveyed in a way that it is understood. And we in the GWG could not have expected or anticipated a better, more benevolent, more talented, more gifted individual than Sam Balsara. Sam founded and runs India's largest Indian-owned advertising agency, Madison World. He has not sold out to any multinational so far. Whether he does so in the next 5 years, I don't know. But let me tell you, Prime Minister Narendra Modi won 2 landslide victories in 2014 and 2019. And they said the secret of his success was that his message reached every nook and corner, every housewife, every family in India. Which agency do you think he used? Madison World. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Balsara.
Thank you, Dorab, for the generous introduction. Yes, indeed, I do think communication is very important, especially for us at GWG. I think it is what has got us together, and hopefully it will keep us together and take us further away. In fact, modern management thinking recognizes the importance of communication in building great global companies, and the GWG to that extent is not different. And even governments now recognize the importance of communication with its people, and they employ professional communicators to get their message right or wrong across. And the GWG, I feel, has to recognize and does recognize the importance of communication for an organization like ours, which has no hierarchical construct, and all regional representatives come together virtually voluntarily to benefit from collective wisdom and action, despite so many differences in thinking, customs, behavior patterns, and policies. I believe open and frequent communication fosters trust, helps prevent some problems, and even resolve problems when they occur, provide clarity to regions on the direction in which we are progressing, and creates stronger relationships and creates a cohesive team. And for that, these reasons, your core committee of the GWG recognizes the importance of regular communication amongst members. And the committee intends to use many different platforms for communication. Once the Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust is formed, some of these would be, of course, a frequently updated website, regular newsletters that can be translated digitally, not just to the regions, but preferably to all the associations. We have a biannual meeting, hopefully amongst the global working group, with decisions transmitted immediately to everyone and press releases to the global Zoroastrian and Iranian press. To enable all these, you already heard the global communication person, Ketayun, and hopefully we will set up communication coordinators in all the regions soon. As you heard from Rohinton, the GWG and soon the Global Council of Zoroastrian Trust has been a long time coming and has been the labor of love of many committed individuals. We believe that despite differences in thinking, customs, environment, practices, beliefs, and whatnot, there are many areas that the global community can work together for common good, like help for the poor and needy, setting up a relevant infrastructure for practicing religion and for social intercourse, having a well-educated and well-provided for priestly class who can spread religious information and provide solace to the laity. It is frequent communication that will reassure the regions that the intention of GWG and the Global Council is not to interfere in any country-specific matters or in practices that are country-specific, which would, of course, continue to remain the exclusive domain of local associations. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this panel discussion. Please give a big hand to my fellow panelists, and particularly the youth, the two young ladies, and make it a point to ensure that from your respective regions, you send a handsome delegation to London. And back to back with the Youth Congress, there is going to be the WZCC World Conclave, where the bigwigs of the community will come together to talk of big money matters. So there's going to be two. And for the seniors, I would say you are getting two for the price of one. So make it a point to come to London in July next year. With those words, Arzan, thank you very much for hosting us. And to the AV people who are waiting to take over the stage, it's all yours now. Thank you.